Welcome to the Bogart Effect, a wealthy wisdom podcast. Please see important disclosure information at the end of the presentation.
When you're fresh out of school, you don't have discretionary savings, right? Like everything is chipping away at the same dollars. And I do think that it really does depend, as you're filling these respective buckets, not only what your income stability is, but it also depends, again, on this time horizon. And why I say it that way is simply because when I started in the industry, I was in a sales role and I had tremendous income variability. By the way, this bit me a couple times, right? Where I would have a really good quarter and you know, that kind of inherently naturally increase standard of living a little bit, right? And then all of a sudden I'd have 2 bad quarters. And, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, you know. So the reason I'm saying it that way is for a younger employee or individual coming out of school, if they have a high level of predictability and stability of their job, their income source, then I might draw that number down to the 3 months of expenses. But if you're in a sales role, like a realtor, for example, I'm actually going to push you into like 12 months of savings in those really liquid, easily accessible types of buckets, because times get tough. And I think knowing that, yes, there's going to be that proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, but also knowing that you're going to have lumpiness associated with income depending upon the type of job you have, that naturally should impact what goes into the savings for an emergency fund or that shorter duration. By the way, I'm talking specifically more around that money market bucket. You know, checking accounts, I don't typically like to see huge checking accounts. 1, maybe 1.5 months worth of expenses that are in the actual, call it operating checking account. And then we have that money market bucket that's directly linked to the checking account that, as I was just saying, dependent upon the stability of your income, could absolutely, you know, fluctuate there. Then we start talking about what are the other type, you know, niche nuances or other savings conduits outside of that.
Well, I would also say on the money market, I think that kind of your personal life comes into play a little bit, because for somebody that's, you know, living with their spouse, 2 incomes, maybe you can have 3 months, you know, be on the 3-month side of things, because what are the odds that both of you lose your
100%.
jobs? And you know, you're going to have one income still going most likely, even if one loses the job. Whereas 6 months, if you're single, living alone, you're solely dependent on one income. You probably want to have a little bit more of a buffer there.
Right. Bingo. I like that point. That's a good comment. You know, the overarching theme as we start.
The previous presentation by Bogart Wealth was intended for general information purposes only. No portion of the presentation serves as the receipt of or as a substitute for personalized investment advice from Bogart Wealth or any other investment professional of your choosing. Different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk, and it should not be assumed that future performance of any specific investment or investment strategy or any other non-investment related or planning services, discussion, or content will be profitable, be suitable for your portfolio or individual situation, or prove successful. Neither Bogart Wealth's investment advisor registration status nor any amount of prior experience or success should be construed that a certain level of results or satisfaction will be achieved if Bogart Wealth is engaged or continues to be engaged to provide investment advisory services. Bogart Wealth is neither a law firm nor accounting firm, and no portion of its services shall be construed as legal or accounting advice. No portion of the podcast content should be construed by a client or prospective client as a guarantee that he or she will experience a certain level of results if Bogart Wealth is engaged or continues to be engaged to provide investment advisory services. Copies of Bogart Wealth's current written disclosure brochure and Form CRS discussing our advisory services and fees are available upon request or at www.bogartwealth.com.